The scream was really loud. It cut through the cold morning air. It was like when you take a knife and you cut through something soft like silk. The frozen dawn was still and quiet, and then the scream ripped through it. Mother. The word burst from King Valor Nightborn's throat with a lot of force. It was so loud that it broke the quiet of the mountain pass. The sound bounced off the stone walls that had been standing for thousands of years, even longer than empires have existed. Snow was flying everywhere in the air. The wind was blowing it around in swirls. King Valor Nightborn did not notice any of this. His red eyes were fixed on what he was seeing in front of him. It was something that could not be happening. King Valor Nightborn was looking right at it. His mother. Queen Elthera Nightborn, the eternal matron of the vampire dominion, was a woman whose name used to be very powerful. It was a name that made entire kingdoms kneel down. Now Queen Elthera Nightborn was slumped against the iron gates of the vampire dominion's fortress. The vampire dominion's ancestral fortress was an important place for Queen Elthera Nightborn and the vampire dominion. Queen Elthera Nightborn looked really sad and tired as she leaned against the iron gates, barefoot. The snow was all stained with blood beneath her. And holding her upright with shaking, frost-bitten arms, was a human girl. Not a noble. Not a servant. A homeless girl. The girl was really skinny, her coat was all torn and her dark hair was a mess, stiff with ice. Her lips were blue because she was so cold, and her knees were shaking really badly as she shivered over. The queen had given her a blanket. It was super thin and not big enough for two people, and the girl had put it around them both, but it looked like the queen had gotten to use it first. The girl was really weak. She would not give up. The wind was. The cold was so bad that it could kill a person in just a few minutes. The girl still held on tight. She did not want to let go of whatever it was that she was holding on to. The girl was determined to keep going no matter how cold it was or how weak she felt. The cold was really bad. The girl refused to let it beat her. She kept holding on even when it seemed like the cold was going to be too much for her. Her arms stayed tightly wrapped around the vampire woman. It was like the old vampire woman was going to fall if she let go. The old vampire woman needed her to hold on. Her arms were the thing that was keeping the old vampire woman alive. Valor's world was completely turned down. The things that Valor thought were certain were not so certain anymore. Valor's world. It felt like nothing was going to be the same again for Valor. For a long time he was in charge of the armies, he stopped people from rebelling, and he decided what would happen to people who did not obey him. He did all of this without showing any feelings. He ruled the humans by making them afraid of him because he thought that fear was what kept everything in order. The humans were afraid of him. That is what made things stable. Humans are weak and they can be hurt easily. They were like animals that could be hunted, or like servants who had to do what they were told, or like tools that could be used. And yet, a person helped his mother when she needed it. The human did a good thing for his mother. He saved his mother. Something old and scary started to wake up inside his chest. This thing that was ancient and dangerous was coming back to life inside the man's chest. The ancient and dangerous thing was. It was happening inside his chest. The gates swung open. Valor walked forward. His cloak was flowing behind him like a cloud. The guards quickly got down on one knee. They were really scared. Valor did not pay much attention to the guards. Valor just kept walking. The guards were very afraid of Valor. He got down on his knees next to the two people who were lying in the snow. The man said "Mother" quietly again, and this time he was actually scared. He had not felt this kind of fear for a long time, like hundreds of years. The word "mother" came out of his mouth in a whisper. Queen Elthera's eyes slowly opened. They were really weak. There was frost stuck to her silver eyelashes. Queen Elthera had a lot of frost on her. "Valor," she said softly, her voice was really shaky. "Valor did not leave me." The human girl looked up at that moment. The eyes of the people in question met. The eyes of these two individuals met directly. Valor thought people would be scared of him. They would beg for mercy. Valor expected this kind of reaction from people, lots of screaming and begging. He saw that the person was really tired. They were in a lot of pain. There was something else that caught his attention and made him stop breathing for a moment. Defiance. The girl said please in a voice holding the queen tightly. "The queen needs to be warm. Do not move the queen quickly." The guards became really stiff and straight, like they were made of stone or something. They just stood there not moving all, and it was pretty weird. The guards did not relax, they just stayed that way, totally stiff. A human giving orders to a vampire king. Valor raised a hand. The silence came down like a knife. It was so quiet it felt like something was cutting through the air. The silence was like a heavy thing that just fell into place. Silence fell like an executioner's blade. The man's eyes were fixed on the girl. He kept looking at the girl. The girl was the thing he was looking at. The man said, "What is your name?" Her throat moved up and down as she swallowed. She said, "Leora." Then she said her name, which was Leora Hale. This girl was all alone. The world did not care about her and bad things kept happening to her, but what nobody knew was that her life was now connected to his life. And that immortality itself would never be the same. 8 hours earlier. The door of the shelter slammed shut. Leora Hale looked at the metal frame. Her reflection was all distorted in the scratched glass. The handwritten sign was moving a little, swinging back and forth as Leora Hale stared at it. The metal frame and the scratched glass made Leora Hale's reflection look really weird. No exceptions. The storm was really loud behind her. It was so loud that she could feel it. The wind was very cold. It cut through her thin coat. It felt like the wind was cutting her with knives. The storm and the wind were very scary for her. The storm was making a lot of noise. The wind was making her feel very cold. She had been standing in line for 4 hours. It was a really long time to be waiting. The line was not moving fast. She was getting tired of standing in the line. She had been standing in the line for long that her feet were starting to hurt from standing in the line. I had to deal with feet for 4 hours. It was really tough to pretend that I was not freezing for those 4 hours. The cold was really getting to me during those 4 hours of standing with feet. The woman who worked at the animal shelter would not even look at her. The man said, "I am sorry," without making a sound because he was talking through the glass. Then he turned off the lights. The snow fell hard. The temperature really dropped lower. It was like the temperature was not going to stop going down. The temperature just kept dropping lower. Leora let her breath out slowly, trying to calm down. She knew that freaking out would use up a lot of energy. Energy is what keeps Leora warm. For Leora, being warm is the key to staying alive. The woman reached into her pocket to see what was inside the pocket. She wanted to know what the pocket had in it. The pocket was something she needed to check. $12.47. Not enough for a motel. Not enough for food. It was just enough to remind her that she was still alive. She fixed the strap of her backpack. This backpack had everything that belonged to her. There was a shirt in it. She also had a phone that was cracked and had not worked for months. A small knife with a spot was in there too. And then there was a picture that was folded up. The edges were worn out from being touched many times. Her mother's smile. Her mother always told her to be kind. She would say things like, "Stay kind, Leora." Her mother said this because she knew the world can be a place. She wanted Leora to remember that when the world is not kind, Leora should still be kind. Leora was on the verge of laughing at that. Kindness did not buy a person a place to live. It did not stop a person from feeling hungry. Kindness just did not do these things. This was all the girl had now. She did not have anything. The girl only had this one thing. That was it. The girl was left with this. The woman turned away from the shelter. She started to walk. She just kept walking. The shelter was behind her now. The woman was walking away from the shelter. No destination. Just movement. In the winter, if you stand still, that is basically death. You have to keep moving when it's cold outside, or the winter will get the best of you. Standing still in winter was death because the cold would just seep into your bones and you would not be able to warm up. Winter is a time when you have to be careful, and standing still in winter was death, so you had to keep walking or running to stay warm. The streets got really quiet as she walked further and away from the human district. The lights started to fade. All the sounds disappeared. The snow covered up her footsteps so you could not hear her walking all. The snow was like a blanket that swallowed her footsteps. She was walking alone in the district, and now she was not. The streets were empty. The human district was behind her. Things were fine until the buildings changed. The buildings. That is when everything was different. The buildings were not the same anymore. The buildings had changed. Stone walls took the place of brick walls. The old doors were. Iron gates were put in instead. There was this feeling of ancient magic in the air, and it was like a warning to people. Ancient magic was around, and it was humming away, giving people a sense of unease. Vampire territory. Leora's heartbeat got faster. Every single instinct that she had was telling her to turn around and go back the way she came. Her instincts were really screaming at her to do this. Every instinct that she had was saying, turn now. People did not come to this place by chance. Humans did not just wander here. People just vanished from this place. The humans that lived here are all gone now. Humans do not exist in this location anymore. She put her head down. Walked really fast. The storm made her seem tiny. She was another shadow in all that rain and wind. That was when she heard that sound. She was not really sure what that sound was. She heard it. A voice. Thin. Confused. Cold. Richard? The voice was shaking. I'm really scared. Where are you, Richard? I am completely. I do not know how to get home. I have been walking for a while now. Everything looks the same to me. Richard, please help me, I really need to find my way. Leora just stopped moving all of it. She was completely still. Leora was like a statue. It was an old woman. The woman's breath was visible in the air as the woman turned around slowly. The side gate of the fortress she had ever seen was where an elderly woman was. She was stumbling through the snow. The woman was not wearing any shoes. Her nice dress had blood all over it. The woman was really struggling to walk in the snow with the fortress behind her. The largest fortress was a deal to her. The woman was really going to die. Her life was coming to an end. The woman was going to die. That was a very sad thing. The woman's death was going to happen. Leora knew it instantly. She just had that feeling. Leora was really sure about this. Her mind was telling her to get out of there, to run fast as she could. Run, that is what her mind screamed. It was saying run and do not look back, just run. Her feet just kept moving. Her feet were taking her to where she needed to go. Her feet moved forward. Because kindness, even now, refused to die inside her. This girl was all alone. The world did not care about her and bad things kept happening to her, but what nobody knew was that her life was now connected to his life. And that immortality itself would never be the same. 8 hours earlier. The door of the shelter slammed shut. Leora Hale looked at the metal frame. Her reflection was all distorted in the scratched glass. The handwritten sign was moving a little, swinging back and forth as Leora Hale stared at it. The metal frame and the scratched glass made Leora Hale's reflection look really weird. No exceptions. The storm was really loud behind her. It was so loud that she could feel it. The wind was very cold. It cut through her thin coat. It felt like the wind was cutting her with knives. The storm and the wind were very scary for her. The storm was making a lot of noise. The wind was making her feel very cold. She had been standing in line for 4 hours. It was a really long time to be waiting. The line was not moving fast. She was getting tired of standing in the line. She had been standing in the line for long that her feet were starting to hurt from standing in the line. I had to deal with feet for 4 hours. It was really tough to pretend that I was not freezing for those 4 hours. The cold was really getting to me during those 4 hours of standing with feet. The woman who worked at the animal shelter would not even look at her. The man said, "I am sorry," without making a sound because he was talking through the glass. Then he turned off the lights. The snow fell hard. The temperature really dropped lower. It was like the temperature was not going to stop going down. The temperature just kept dropping lower. Leora let her breath out slowly, trying to calm down. She knew that freaking out would use up a lot of energy. Energy is what keeps Leora warm. For Leora, being warm is the key to staying alive. The woman reached into her pocket to see what was inside the pocket. She wanted to know what the pocket had in it. The pocket was something she needed to check. $12.47. Not enough for a motel. Not enough for food. It was just enough to remind her that she was still alive. She fixed the strap of her backpack. This backpack had everything that belonged to her. There was a shirt in it. She also had a phone that was cracked and had not worked for months. A small knife with a spot was in there too. And then there was a picture that was folded up. The edges were worn out from being touched many times. Her mother's smile. Her mother always told her to be kind. She would say things like, "Stay kind, Leora." Her mother said this because she knew the world can be a place. She wanted Leora to remember that when the world is not kind, Leora should still be kind. Leora was on the verge of laughing at that. Kindness did not buy a person a place to live. It did not stop a person from feeling hungry. Kindness just did not do these things. This was all the girl had now. She did not have anything. The girl only had this one thing. That was it. The girl was left with this. The woman turned away from the shelter. She started to walk. She just kept walking. The shelter was behind her now. The woman was walking away from the shelter. No destination. Just movement. In the winter, if you stand still, that is basically death. You have to keep moving when it's cold outside, or the winter will get the best of you. Standing still in winter was death because the cold would just seep into your bones and you would not be able to warm up. Winter is a time when you have to be careful, and standing still in winter was death, so you had to keep walking or running to stay warm. The streets got really quiet as she walked further and away from the human district. The lights started to fade. All the sounds disappeared. The snow covered up her footsteps so you could not hear her walking all. The snow was like a blanket that swallowed her footsteps. She was walking alone in the district, and now she was not. The streets were empty. The human district was behind her. Things were fine until the buildings changed. The buildings. That is when everything was different. The buildings were not the same anymore. The buildings had changed. Stone walls took the place of brick walls. The old doors were. Iron gates were put in instead. There was this feeling of ancient magic in the air, and it was like a warning to people. Ancient magic was around and it was humming away, giving people a sense of unease. Vampire territory. Leora's heartbeat got faster. Every single instinct that she had was telling her to turn around and go back the way she came. Her instincts were really screaming at her to do this. Every instinct that she had was saying, turn now. People did not come to this place by chance. Humans did not just wander here. People just vanished from this place. The humans that lived here are all gone now. Humans do not exist in this location anymore. She put her head down, walked really fast. The storm made her seem tiny. She was another shadow in all that rain and wind. That was when she heard that sound. She was not really sure what that sound was. She heard it. A voice. Thin. Confused. Cold. Richard? The voice was shaking. I'm really scared. Where are you, Richard? I am completely. I do not know how to get home. I have been walking for a while now. Everything looks the same to me. Richard, please help me. I really need to find my way. Leora just stopped moving all of it. She was completely still. Leora was like a statue. It was an old woman. The woman's breath was visible in the air as the woman turned around slowly. The side gate of the fortress she had ever seen was where an elderly woman was. She was stumbling through the snow. The woman was not wearing any shoes. Her nice dress was had blood all over it. The woman was really struggling to walk in the snow with the fortress behind her. The largest fortress was a deal to her. The woman was really going to die. Her life was coming to an end. The woman was going to die. That was a very sad thing. The woman's death was going to happen. Leora knew it instantly. She just had that feeling. Leora was really sure about this. Her mind was telling her to get out of there, to run fast as she could. Run, that is what her mind screamed. It was saying, run and do not look back, just run. Her feet just kept moving. Her feet were taking her to where she needed to go. Her feet moved forward. Because kindness, even now, refused to die inside her. The story is about a girl who has no home. She met the queen of the vampires. This girl changed the queen's life in a way. The queen's fate was touched by this girl. The girl and the vampire queen is a pair. The homeless girl and the vampire queen's story is very unique. The queen's life was different after she met the homeless girl. The old woman fell down. She just collapsed. The old woman was not standing anymore. Leora barely caught her in time. She was really lucky that Leora was able to catch her. Leora caught the girl just as she was falling. That was a good thing. If Leora had not caught her, the girl would have gotten hurt for sure. The girl was very thankful that Leora was there to catch her when she fell. Leora was happy that she was able to help the girl and catch her in time. The crash threw Leora and the woman into the snow. The cold air hit Leora away. It was very cold. Her knees hurt a lot. Leora did not make a sound. She put her arms around the woman, who was very thin, to keep her safe from the wind. Leora was trying to protect the woman from the cold. The woman was Leora's concern, so Leora held her tightly, making sure the woman was safe. The woman was really cold. She was shaking with the cold. The woman felt like she was freezing. Her skin was really cold, colder than it should be for a person, and at the time she had a bad fever that was making her body hot underneath. There was blood over her silver hair, and it was coming from a big cut on the side of her head. Her eyes kept opening and closing, but they did not seem to be looking at anything. They just looked lost. Leora whispered that everything is okay, even though her teeth were shaking badly. You are not alone, Leora said. Leora has got you. The woman looked at Leora's face. She did this slowly. The woman's eyes finally settled on Leora's face. She said that he was warm, which really confused her. Richard was the person she was thinking of. She asked if Richard had come back for her. Leora's chest felt tight all of a sudden. It was like something was squeezing it. Leora's chest was tightening up. It was very uncomfortable for Leora. She said gently, I am not Richard. She told the person that she will not leave them. The woman said, I promise. The wind was really loud. It sounded mad, like it did not like what she was saying. Leora was aware that she should be really scared. This part of town was off limits. Leora knew that trying to help someone in the district could get her killed. When she looked at the weak woman shaking in her arms, Leora did not think about that anymore. The woman was so fragile. Leora felt bad for her. Leora was holding the woman. She could feel how scared the woman was. The district was a place and Leora knew it, but she did not care about that right now. All she cared about was the woman she was holding. She took off her coat, put it on the woman. The woman was really cold. She did not think about it, she just did it. The coat was the thing that was keeping her warm because it was really stormy outside. She gave the woman her coat anyway. The woman pulled out the blanket from her backpack. This was her thing that could keep her warm. She wrapped the blanket tightly around herself and the other person. Leora said to stay awake. She said this quietly. Leora wanted the person to talk to her. She really wanted to hear the person's voice. Leora urged the person to talk to Leora. The woman gave a smile. She told me that I sound like her son. He is always giving orders. Getting worried about things. I'm always worried just like her son. Your son? Leora said, trying to keep her voice calm. Where is your son? The woman's face looked really confused and very sad. The woman felt a lot of sadness. The woman did not understand what was going on. She said quietly, he is really far away. The man has much power and he does not love enough. He rules much and loves too little. Those words really got to Leora. They sent a chill down her spine that was even colder than the air. It was like the words went into Leora's bones and made her feel uneasy. Leora felt it in her bones. Those words were really scary. It said, then we will wait for him together. Time went by. Minutes passed. The minutes just kept passing. Then longer. The snow just kept getting heavier and heavier, piling up around Leora and the others. It was even getting into Leora's sleeves, which was really cold. The snow was soaking Leora's skin. It was making her fingers feel numb. She could barely feel her fingers all. Leora's body was shaking hard. It would not stop. Her muscles were very tired. They were screaming for her to rest. The snow was making Leora's situation very bad. She did not let go. The woman's breathing got really weak at some point. Her breathing was not like it was before. It was very shallow. The woman's breathing was barely noticeable. Leora was really scared. She totally freaked out. Leora did not know what to do. The situation was getting to Leora and Leora was losing control. She said hey to her a couple of times. She did not want her to fall asleep. So she whispered to her in an urgent way. She was also shaking her gently. She said please stay with her. She really wanted her to stay awake and be with her. The woman's eyes opened up again. She slowly started to wake up. The woman's eyes were open now. She said why. Her voice was really soft. Why would you do something like this for the woman, for her? Leora swallowed. She said that someone should do it. She said it in a simple way. The woman looked at her like she was seeing the woman for the first time. She really looked at the woman. The woman was looking at her with a lot of surprise. A tear fell from the corner of her eye and stopped against her cheek. The woman felt a tear run down her face. Her old eye had seen a lot of things. The tear just stayed there on her cheek. The woman had old eyes. When the sun started to come up, Leora could no longer feel her feet. Her vision got all blurry. She was taking short breaths. The woman leaned her back against the iron gate. She used the last bit of her strength to hold the woman up. She thought of her mother. She remembered the way her mother used to be. Her mother was a kind person. The woman thought about her mother a lot. She thought about what her mother liked to do. Her mother liked to cook and bake. The woman thought about the food her mother used to make for her. She thought about her mother. That night she had disappeared, people were looking for her because she had helped the person. The night she had vanished is what people remember. It is all because she had tried to help the wrong person. Her mother told her something that stuck with her. She said that being kind does not make you weak. It actually makes you a threat to people who are cruel. Her mother said that kindness is a thing and it can hurt people who are mean. Her mother said that being kind makes the people who are cruel very uncomfortable because kindness is the opposite of what they are used to. Leora smiled a bit. If this was the way she died, at least the woman would not die without being noticed. She would not die invisible, the woman would actually be seen. This thought was important to the woman. It made her feel a little better about dying this way because at least people would know that the woman had died. That was when the gates exploded open. The world started moving fast. Everything was happening at once. The world was in motion now. The steel rang loud and clear. People were shouting around. You could feel the power moving through the air. It was like thunder on a day. The steel rang again. It was so loud. Leora did not really pay attention to what was happening before some strong arms tried to pull the woman from Leora's grasp. No, she said in a voice holding on tighter. The girl needs to be warm. Do not move the girl quickly. Silence fell fast. It was like a heavy thing that came down on everything. Then it was completely quiet. The silence was sudden. It slammed down instantly. The silence really slammed down right away. Leora made herself open her eyes. That was when she saw him, the man she had been thinking about for a time. She had been wondering when she would see him again, and now he was standing in front of her. The man was looking at her. She felt a little nervous. She saw him. She could not help but stare at him. That was when she saw him, the man who had been on her mind. Tall, immense, cloaked in shadow and authority. When he was near, she could not breathe. The air just seemed to disappear from her lungs because of him. His presence was really overwhelming to her. Red eyes. Ancient eyes. Those eyes had seen a lot of things happen over the years. They had watched as centuries came and went and a lot of things burned, like cities and buildings and trees. The eyes that had watched centuries burn had seen it all. The Vampire King. Fear finally hit her. It was a scary feeling that made her feel very afraid. The fear was something that she had been trying to avoid. Now it was right there with her. She could not escape it. Fear was around her. Not screaming fear. Not panic. She felt a deep sense of calm. She knew that she was standing right in front of death. It was a quiet feeling, but it went all the way to her bones. She was face to face with death itself. She still did not let go at that moment. She held on. She did not let go of it even then. He said, "What is your name?" The person wanted to know the name of the person. He was asking for the name. The name of the person was what he wanted to know. The man's voice was steady. You could tell that something was bothering him, something that made his words sound a little shaky. His voice was controlled. Something sharp trembled beneath the sound of the man's voice. "Leora," she whispered. Leora was a special person to her. Leora saved her life. She will always be grateful to Leora. Leora did it in her way, but Leora still helped her. The guards became really stiff and upright. The king looked at his mother, then he looked back at Leora. "My mother," he said slowly and in a scary way. "My mother is not something that people should touch." Leora's heart was beating fast. It was pounding in her chest. Leora's heart was racing like crazy. The woman said that she did not know who the woman was. She said this in a truthful way. The woman only knew that the woman was cold. A weird look crossed his face. It was something that was really hard to understand. This thing that crossed the man's face was strange. The man's face had this thing on it. The Queen Elthra moved a bit. She was really weak. Could not move much. The Queen Elthra was trying to get up. It was very hard for the Queen Elthra. "She stayed with me," she said quietly. "All night she was there. The woman gave me her warmth." Valor just stopped moving. All of Valor was still. The Vampire King got down on his knees in the snow. It was a really strange thing to see. He did it slowly, like he was not sure if he should be doing it at all. It just seemed impossible that the Vampire King would be kneeling in the snow like that. The Vampire King kneeling in the snow was something that nobody expected to see. The guards all stopped moving because they were really surprised. Every guard just stood there. Did not know what to do. Every guard was in shock. He put out his hand not to touch Leora but to grab the blanket that was wrapped around them. His fingers touched Leora's skin by mistake. Ice cold. Lethal cold. Humanly impossible to survive. The man's eyes got a little bigger. The man said, "She is dying," in a sharp voice. He really meant that the woman is dying. The woman is. That is what he said. Leora said quietly, "I know." Leora thought to herself, the woman is not like that. Valor looked at her. He did not look away from her. Valor just kept staring at her. No one had ever spoken to him like that. The way they talked to him was really something. Nobody ever said things to him in such a manner. It was a new experience for him when someone spoke to him like that. He took off his cloak, put it around the two women. Then he lifted his mother up into his arms. He did this quickly and carefully, making sure the cloak was around both women to keep them warm. His mother was in his arms now. The cloak was wrapped around the other woman too. The king did something that really scared his court. He turned around, faced Leora again. This was a bad thing to do and his court was totally horrified. The king looked at Leora. The man said, "You." Her knees just gave out on her. The man caught the woman before the woman hit the ground. He was really quick to catch the woman. The woman is very lucky that the man was there to catch the woman. The guards were really surprised. They let out sharp breaths of air. Gasps went through the guards. The Vampire King is touching a human girl. This is a strange thing for the Vampire King to do. The Vampire King is a being and the homeless human girl is very weak. The Vampire King is usually not interested in humans. He is interested in this homeless human girl. The Vampire King is touching the human girl and it is a big deal. Holding her. Protecting her. "Bring them both inside," Valor said. His voice was very firm. "If anyone says something about this, they will have to deal with Valor." The gates closed behind them. This was the moment they had been waiting for. The sound of the gates closing was really loud. The gates were now shut. They were trapped. The gates were not going to open. Somewhere deep inside the old walls of the fortress, something big happened to Destiny. The fortress had been around for a long time and its walls held a lot of secrets. Destiny was now awake inside these walls. The warmth inside the fortress really hit Leora hard. It was like a punch to her frozen senses. The fortress was warm. That was a big change for Leora. She did not really notice the marble floors, The chandeliers that hung from the ceiling, the servants who were talking quietly and staring at her like she was not even there, like a ghost. The marble floors and the big chandeliers and the whispering servants all seemed to fade into the background. The servants were looking at her like she was a ghost. The woman was put down gently onto a bed. The bed was where the woman was placed. She was put onto the bed gently. A real bed. The heat spread through her body. It hurt a lot. Her body was numb before. Now it was like it was on fire. She let out a cry and curled up into a ball. The heat was really painful. Her body was hurting much that she cried out softly, curling inward to try and escape the pain. Valor stood at the foot of the bed watching as the healers rushed to his mother first. The healers were trying to help his mother. Valor was waiting to see what would happen to his mother. He was very worried about his mother. She is going to be okay, one person whispered quietly. This is all because of the human. Valor did not look away from Leora. He just kept looking at Leora. Valor was still staring at Leora. He wanted to know who the woman was, so he asked in a voice, "Who is she?" The guard said, "No papers. That means she does not have any proof of who she's, where she belongs." The guard also said, "No scent of allegiance," which is a strange thing to say. It is like the guard is saying that she does not smell like she belongs to any group of people. Then the guard said, "She's nothing." The guard is saying that this woman is not important, she is not a part of anything, she is a person with no papers and no connection to anyone or anything. The woman is basically nothing to the guard. Valor's jaw got really tight. The man said no. He told them that the woman is under his protection. The words really shook the room. The room was shaking because of the words. The words were so powerful that they shook the room. People had never heard these sounds before. The sounds were completely new to ears. Nobody had ever heard the sounds before, which is what made them so interesting. The human hearing was not familiar with these sounds. Leora was waking up, then going back to sleep again. She was not really awake and not really asleep either. Leora kept drifting in and out of consciousness. Even as the darkness was pulling her down, she could feel the darkness all around her. A presence. Watching. Not with hunger, but with something far more dangerous. Interest. The vampire court turned against a girl. This is a scary thing. The vampire court is not a place where humans usually go. This human girl was there for some reason. The vampire court turned against her. That is very bad news for the human girl. The vampire court has a lot of power. They do not like humans very much. So when they turn against you, it is very serious. The human girl is in trouble now that the vampire court turned against her. Leora woke up to silence. It was really quiet. The silence was pretty weird for Leora. Leora did not like the silence. The streets at night are usually pretty quiet. This was different. It was not the kind of silence you get when it is dark outside. Nobody is around. It was not the wind that sometimes blows and makes a lot of noise. It was not the sound of people trying to find food when they're hungry. It was a quiet that felt heavy and pressed against her ears. For a moment she was really scared. Thought she could not hear anything anymore. She thought maybe she had lost her hearing. Then she felt something under her hands. A bed. Soft. Cling. Real. Her eyes suddenly opened up wide. The ceiling was really high above her. It was like an arch and it had old symbols cut into it. These symbols were glowing a bit with a red light. There were curtains around the windows that went all the way up to the ceiling. A fire was burning in a fireplace. It was so big that you could actually stand inside it. The fire was burning quietly. The air in the room smelled like herbs and something else that was of metallic. It smelled like magic is what it smelled like. The magic smell was pretty strong. She took a deep breath and then she tried to sit up. The woman was trying to sit up, she really was. She was the woman who was trying to sit up in the place the woman. A sharp pain shot through her body away. The pain in her body was really bad. It happened so fast. Her body felt the pain instantly when it happened. Do not move yet. It is not an idea for you to move right now. Just stay where the person who is telling you this can see you. The person is saying you should not move yet. The voice was really calm. It was deep. It sounded controlled. The voice was very calm. Leora just stopped moving all of it. She was completely still. Leora was frozen in place. He was standing near the window. His back was turned to her. He had his hands clasped behind him. She did not need to see his face to feel the man's presence. It was like he was pulling her towards him like gravity is pulling things towards the earth. The man's presence was strong like gravity. The vampire king. Her voice was all shaky and quiet. "I did not mean to do that," she said. "I will go away now. I promise. I will not say anything about this to anyone. I will not tell anyone what happened." The man turned around slowly. He was moving slowly. The man was turning around. When his eyes met her eyes, her breath caught. It was like time stopped for the woman. Her eyes were fixed on his eyes. The woman felt something when his eyes met her eyes. There was no rage in them. No hunger. Only something unreadable and sharp. Valor said to me, "You are not a prisoner." Then Valor said something that did not make sense. Valor said, "And you will not leave." I do not understand why Valor said that. Valor told me I am not a prisoner. Valor also said I have to stay with Valor. Her fingers tightened in the blankets. She held on to the blankets tight with her fingers. The blankets were all scrunched up in her hands now. Her fingers were still holding the blankets. She said that is worse. She said it really quietly. Something flickered across his face for the time. It was almost like he was amused. Then it looked like he felt a regret. His face showed amusement and almost regret. The man said this in a voice, "My court will think so." The doors at the end of the chamber suddenly burst open like they were waiting for him to say that. Then a lot of people started talking at the time. A flood of voices was really loud. The flood of voices was overwhelming. This is madness. You brought a human into the sanctum. That is a big deal. The inner sanctum is a private place and humans are not usually allowed in the inner sanctum. What were you thinking when you brought a human into the sanctum? The woman actually touched the queen. This is a big deal because the queen is a very important person. The queen is someone that people do not usually touch. The woman reached out, touched the queen. Leora shrank back holding the blankets tight to her chest. The room was suddenly filled with people wearing robes. Their eyes were really scary. Some were red, some were purple. Some were yellow. It was like they were looking at Leora and thinking about what to do with her. The people in robes looked like they were waiting to pounce on Leora like animals waiting to catch their next meal. Leora was really afraid of the figures in robes. Valor stepped forward. He put himself quietly between Leora and the court. He did this in a way so it was not too obvious. Valor was now standing between Leora and the court. He said that she saved my mother. He was very cold when he said it. The conversation is finished now. He meant that we should not talk about it anymore. She saved my mother, that is all that matters to him. The discussion is over because of what she did for my mother. The vampire was really tall. He had this shiny silver hair. His features were very sharp. The vampire sneered at something, his face all scrunched up in disgust. The vampire with the silver hair did not look very happy. He said she is a being. He thinks humans are weak. If this woman touched the queen, that would be very bad for the queen. He believes the queen would be contaminated by this woman. Leora flinched. Valor's eyes got really dark. He said that she stayed really still for a long time to keep herself alive. This was while you were sleeping safely behind the wards. Then there was silence. Then laughter. Cruel. Sure. A girl who is homeless does not make it through territory by chance. Another vampire said this. The girl is probably either cursed or she is dangerous. Vampire territory is a place to survive and this girl has done it. The vampire thinks the girl is either cursed or she is a danger to them. Leora's chest felt tight all of a sudden. It was like something was squeezing it and would not let go. Leora's chest was tight. She said that she did not want anything. Her voice was very quiet. She just did not want the woman to die. The room just stopped. Everything was quiet. The room was really still. People did not think she would say anything. The people around her were surprised that the woman would talk. The woman. That was something they had not expected to happen with the woman. Valor turned to her slowly. She looked at Valor and Valor was moving really slow. Valor was taking her time to turn to her. The man told me that I do not need to explain myself. He said that. The man said I do not have to justify the things I do. I should just do what I want to do. That is it. The man said that I do not need to justify myself. The woman lifted her chin anyway. She did this even though things seemed tough. The woman was not going to give up, so she lifted her chin. Leora said that her mother once helped someone that everyone else was afraid of. Her mother did a kind thing. Then her mother disappeared because of it. If helping someone like that is a crime, in this place too, then Leora understands why people might be upset. The words cut deep, they really hurt me. The words landed like a blade. It was like someone punched me in the gut with those words. The voice of Queen Elthera cut through all the tension that was in the air. Queen Elthera had a way of speaking that could be heard by everyone. Enough. The woman stood in the doorway. She was using a cane made from a dark stone to help her stand. Her hair was a gray color and it was hanging down around her shoulders. When the woman walked into the room, everyone stopped talking at the time. The room became very quiet because of her presence. The woman's presence was very powerful. It made everyone stop what they were doing. The queen said that she is my guest. She is also my savior. The court did what it had to do. It was really not happy about it. The court. You could tell it did not want to do that. Valor watched his mother carefully. He wanted to see what she was going to do. Valor's mother was doing something that made him curious about what Valor's mother was up to. Valor kept watching Valor's mother. You really need to take it and get some rest. Just sit back. Relax, okay, because your body needs to rest. Elthara smiled a little. I'm happy. This is because of Elthara's friend her. She walked up to Leora slowly. She took Leora's hands in her hands. Leora's hands were shaking a lot. The queen said to me in a voice, "You gave me warmth when living forever did not work for me." Then she asked me, "Tell me, child, why did you stay with me? Why did you not go away?" Leora swallowed hard. It is really sad when people die alone. Nobody should have to go through that by themselves. The thought of someone dying alone is very upsetting. Because no one should die alone. The queen's grip got really tight. There was something old and sneaky in her eyes. Something ancient and calculating was shining in her eyes. It was like you could see that she was thinking about something that had been around for a long time. Her eyes had this calculating look that was kind of spooky. That night people started whispering to each other in the fortress. It was like poison spreading everywhere. The fortress was filled with whispers that night. Whispers were spreading through the fortress that night. A girl who is human managed to survive the Forbidden District. The girl had gone through this tough place and she made it out alive. This is the Forbidden District we are talking about. The human girl survived it. A girl who is a being had touched the queen. The queen is an important person and this girl had actually touched her. The girl is a human. She did this thing to the queen. The king had noticed a girl. This human girl had really caught the king's attention. None of it was safe. Leora noticed something was off when the servants would not look at her. They avoided her eyes. The guards also changed when she walked by. They stood up straight. The walls of the place even seemed to be watching Leora. Everything felt like it was watching Leora. Valor gave her a room that's close to the queen's wing. The room is near the queen's wing, so she will be staying near the queen. Valor made sure her room is near the queen's wing. The man said that he wanted it for protection. The court said this is for surveillance. Time went by. The days passed. Leora got little by little. Leora helped out around the place where Leora was to. Leora folded clothes and took care of the gardens. Leora also spent time with the servants. Listened to them when they needed someone to talk to. The servants would tell Leora things they had never told anyone before. Leora would comfort them. She did not ask for anything. What really bothered them was that they felt unsettled. This feeling of being unsettled was what affected them the most. Valor stood back. Looked at her. He did this from far away. Valor wanted to see what she was doing without her noticing him. So Valor watched her from a distance. He noticed that she would jump a little when people spoke loudly. The woman really did not like it when people raised their voices. He saw how the woman flinched at raised voices. It was very clear to him. The woman. That is really something because it happened even when someone was being very mean to her. The woman. It is nice to see the woman smile like that. The woman showed kindness to people. She did not expect anything in return. She was just being kind because that is what she wanted to do. The kindness she offered was really amazing. The woman was kind to everyone she met. That is what made her special. She offered kindness without thinking about what she would get from it. Something inside of John Doe did not feel after that happened. It really disturbed John Doe. The thing that disturbed John Doe was very strange. One evening he saw the girl in the courtyard. She was kneeling in the snow. The girl was gently giving crumbs to a wounded raven. The raven was. The girl was taking care of it. She was being very kind to the wounded raven. The man told us that we should not touch creatures. He said this because wild creatures can be very dangerous. Wild creatures are not like the animals we have at home, so we should not touch creatures. She said that people are scared. The woman is scared too. The man took a look at the woman. He really studied the woman. The woman was the focus of his attention. You are not afraid of me. She stopped for a moment. Thought about what to do next. She was not sure if she should go ahead with it. The woman hesitated. She said, I am. Then she added that just because you are afraid of something it does not mean you hate the thing. Fear and hate are two things, she explained. The woman was talking about fear. She made it clear that fear does not equal hate. No one had ever told him that. He had never heard anyone say that to him. That night was the time when the assassination attempt on someone's life actually happened. The assassination attempt came that night. A poison blade slipped between shadows. It was not pointed at the queen. It was pointed at Leora. Valor just got up. Started moving. He did not think about what he was doing. Valor was just moving. The assassin fell to the ground. Was dead before Leora even had a chance to scream. The court just erupted. Someone yelled out that she is the one they're after. They said she is the one who brings all the trouble and mess. The woman is the target, that is what they are saying. She is the one who causes chaos. Valor stood over the body. There was blood dripping from his blade. The blood was coming down from the blade. It was a pretty scary sight. Valor was just standing there looking at the body. The blood was dripping from his blade. The man said this in a quiet voice. He said, anyone who touches her. Then he stopped for a moment. He said dies, and that was it. He meant that something bad would happen to anyone who touches the girl. The man was talking about the girl when he said, anyone who touches her dies. The declaration really shocked the realm of people. The declaration was a big surprise to everyone in the realm. The Vampire King did not make any threats to humans. He was not a danger to the humans. The Vampire King did not want to hurt humans. And yet, the man had something. He actually had it. The man had this thing. He knew what the man had was important to the man. The man had it. That is all that mattered to the man. Later, when Leora was alone in the tower, she confronted Leora's friend. No, she actually confronted him, the person she was talking to, which is the man, the one she was with. Leora confronted the man. She said to them, why are you doing this to me? She looked really upset. Said, I do not belong here with the others. The woman said again, I do not belong here. Valor looked at her for a long time. He did not say anything. Valor just kept looking at her. Valor was staring at her. The man told him that he does not belong on the streets either. She said that just because something is that way, it does not mean she should be the queen. She whispered this in a tone. The idea of being queen did not sound good to her. She really did not want to be the queen. The man's eyes flickered. His eyes did that when he was not telling the truth. The man's eyes flickered again. Do not talk about things that you do not know about yet. It is better to wait until you have an understanding of something before you say anything about it. Things that you do not understand can be. You might get them wrong. So it is best to be quiet and learn more about things before you talk about them. Something old and ancient stirred between them. This ancient thing was like a spark that had been hidden for a long time. The ancient feeling was, it was happening between them, and it was very strange, dangerous, unavoidable. The truth hidden in the homeless girl's blood. The dream came with fire. It was a scary dream. The fire in the dream was huge. The dream had a lot of fire in it. Leora woke up. She was screaming. Her body suddenly sat up fast, like she was being pulled out of the water when she was drowning. Her lungs felt like they were on fire, and her heart was beating hard that she thought it was going to jump out of her chest. She was covered in sweat, and her night clothes were all wet. The cold stone walls of the room seemed to be moving out, like they were breathing really fast, just like she was, because she was so scared. She put her hands on the sides of her head, on her temples. She was pressing her hands to her temples. The dream had felt really real. It was like I was actually living the dream. The dream was so real that it still feels like it happened to me. The dream. Flames are curling across the sky. It is all black. There are these voices chanting in a language that she does not know, but for some reason she understands what they are saying. She has blood on her hands. It is not staining them, it is glowing instead. The flames and the voices and the blood on her hands, it is all very strange. And there are eyes watching her from the dark. They are eyes, and they are being very patient, waiting for something to happen to the flames and the blood on her hands. Waiting. The door opened without making a sound. It was really quiet when the door opened. The door just, that was it. Valor was just standing there. He did not say a word. Valor just stood there. The person did not ask for permission. The man said that he felt it. He said this in a voice. Leora's breath caught in her throat. What did you feel? The wards reacted. He said, this is something that the fortress has not done in a long time. The fortress has been quiet for centuries. She swung her legs off the bed. Felt really unsteady all of a sudden. I did not do anything, she said to the social worker. The social worker looked at her. She said it again, I did not do anything to him, I swear. She was talking about the thing that happened with her brother. She wanted to make it very clear that she was not involved in it. The thing with her brother was a deal, and she knew that the social worker was going to ask her a lot of questions about it, so she said again, I did not do anything. The man told her that he believed what she was saying. He said, I believe you. That really stopped her in her tracks. She just could not do anything after that. The thing that stopped her was very powerful. It was so powerful that it stopped her. People did not know what to make of her. They would ask her questions, test her to see what she was capable of. A lot of people were actually afraid of her. Everyone else questioned her existence. They were really scared of her. They did not understand her at all. The man had faith in what the woman was saying. He trusted her completely. The woman told him something. He believed her. They stood there in the light. The space between them felt really heavy because there was something they were not saying. The air was full of this thing that they were not talking about, this thing that was the space between them, the thing that was making everything feel so heavy. Valor finally said, "Tell me about your dreams." Leora stopped for a moment. Then Leora laughed in a way it was a sad laugh. No one ever wants to hear about the nightmares of a girl. The nightmares of a girl are something that people do not want to hear about. People just do not care about the nightmares of a girl. I do. The woman said something to the man. She told him. The man listened to what the woman had to say. The woman told him what was on her mind. The fire is what it is about. I'm talking about the fire. There are these voices that she can hear. Then there is this feeling that the fire is giving her. It is like something inside of the fire is waking up inside of her. The fire is making her feel this way. Valor just sat there. Did not say a word. He was completely quiet. Listened very carefully to what was being said. Valor was really paying attention to everything that he heard. When she finished, his jaw was really tight. She could see that his jaw was tight. The man's jaw was tight after she finished. The man told me that I should not be able to hear the old tongue. He said this slowly. She said, "What is that?" The language he was talking about, he said, is really old. It was around before vampires even existed. It was around before humans existed too. The language he was talking about is older than both vampires and humans. Fear started to show in her voice. Then why do I understand the language? Valor did not answer away. So the man extended his hand. Come with me. They went down into the depths of the fortress. They walked past doors that no servant was brave enough to open. The air got colder and heavier. It was thick with magic. The fortress was full of this magic. They could feel it around them as they walked deeper into the fortress. They finally got to a room. It was made completely out of obsidian. The room was really something because it was all obsidian. They were looking at a lot of shiny stone. The obsidian room was very impressive. Blood sigils lit up when Valor stepped inside the place. The blood sigils were really bright. Valor saw the blood sigils. They were amazing. The room had a lot of blood sigils. They all lit up at the same time when Valor stepped inside. The man said, "The Hall of Origins." He told us that only royalty are allowed to go into the Hall of Origins. Leora. Me. You already have that. At the center of the place was a stone basin. The stone basin had symbols carved into it. These symbols gave off a light when Leora came near the stone basin. The light from the symbols on the stone basin was not very bright, it was faint. The thing she was feeling had a pull on her. It was like the feeling was pulling at her. The pull of the feeling was really strong on the woman. Her blood sang a song inside of her. It was like her blood was singing. Felt really good. Her blood sang. Valor's eyes got really dark. The man told him to touch it. He said this in a voice. She said, "What if something bad happens to the people we care about? Something bad. What if something happens? Something already is." The woman reached out with her hand. When her fingers touched the stone, the whole room was filled with light. The stone was really important. When she touched it, the room changed. The light from the chamber was so strong that it was like the stone was the reason for all of it. The chamber and the stone were connected in a way. The fire was really something to see. Blood-red flames went up into the air. They made pictures. These blood-red flames spiraled upward. It was like they were forming images in the air with the blood-red flames. A woman is standing next to a vampire king. The woman is a human. She is standing beside the king. Not as a servant. As an equal. As a queen. Leora took a step back. She was really struggling to catch her breath. She was gasping for air. Leora was out of breath. The woman said, "That is not her," she whispered. Valor looked at the vision. He was really surprised. The vision was something that Valor did not expect to see. Valor was so surprised that he just stood there staring at the vision. "It should not be possible," he said. "The prophecy was thought to be extinct." She said, "What prophecy?" The man turned to the woman slowly. The man talked about the prophecy of the bloodbound queen. This bloodbound queen is a human who was born with old blood. The bloodbound queen can bring together living forever and dying. The bloodbound queen is not chosen because she is powerful. Because she is kind to people. The prophecy of the bloodbound queen is very special. Leora shook her head hard. "I am nothing. I grew up without food. I slept in alleys. The prophecies are not for someone like Leora. Leora does not belong in these prophecies." Valor stepped closer to see what was going on. Valor wanted to get a look at things. The man said that power does not get to decide where it comes from. Power decides who is good enough to have it. The doors to the chamber swung open. The court had finally arrived at the scene. The court was now present. They had felt it too. The same feeling that something was not quite right had been bothering them well. It was a sensation that the people around them had also experienced. The feeling had been there, along. The visions. The awakening. One person yelled that she is a threat. She is a bad person. I think she is terrible. The things she does are just not right. I mean, she is an abomination. You have to stop her before things get really bad. She is going to cause a lot of trouble if you do not do something about the woman. The woman is going to hurt someone. You have to kill the woman before it's too late and the woman hurts someone. Leora took a step back. She did this without thinking about it. Leora was moving away from something. She did not want to be close to it. Leora backed away instinctively because that is what her body wanted to do. Valor stepped forward. Stood right in front of her. The man said no. He did not sound very happy about it. The queen's voice was really loud. It cut right through all the noise and confusion. Enough. Elthera stepped forward. Her eyes were really sharp. She looked like she was ready for something. Elthera had this gaze that made you feel like she could see right through you. Elthera was not messing around. The queen said that she has the blood of the first covenant in her. This woman also saved the queen's life. She did not even know who the queen was at that time. The queen thinks that if this is not what you call destiny, then the whole idea of destiny does not make any sense. The queen really believes that the woman's actions were an example of the first covenant at work. The court erupted again. The woman is going to mess up the balance. She will totally ruin the balance. The balance will be gone because of her. The queen will rule the people. The queen is going to have a lot of power over us. We will all have to do what the queen says because the queen will be in charge of us. The woman is going to make us weaker. She will weaken us. We have to be careful because she will weaken us. Valor raised his hand. He was trying to get someone's attention, so Valor raised his hand again. It seemed like Valor really needed to say something, that is why Valor raised his hand. It got really quiet. Silence fell. The woman will make her choice, he said. She is safe with me until she decides what she wants to do. The woman remains under my protection until the woman makes up her mind. Someone laughed with a laugh. It was a laugh that did not sound very happy. The laugh was bitter. A person cannot survive the claiming ritual. The claiming ritual is too much for a human to handle. I mean, think about it, the claiming ritual is really tough. A human will not be able to make it through. The claiming ritual is something that a human cannot survive. Leora looked at Valor. She said, "What are you talking about, Valor?" The man's face turned serious and sad. His expression darkened. He said that this is a test. A test that will show us if what the prophecy says is really true or just a lie. The prophecy is what we are talking about here. We want to know if the prophecy is true. Fear was really getting to her. It twisted her stomach. The feeling of fear was making her stomach turn. Fear is a scary thing, and it was making her feel sick to her stomach. Fear was taking over. It was twisting her stomach into knots. What if I do not succeed? He said that away. You will not do that, he said instantly. The way he spoke was so sure. That really got to her. It bothered her a lot more than being scared. His voice had a certainty that shook her. That night was really scary because the fortress turned against us. The fortress became a bad place. We did not feel safe around the fortress. The fortress was not friendly anymore. The servants were asked a lot of questions. Then the allies just disappeared. After that, threats started coming. They were sealed in blood. The threats that arrived were really scary. They were sealed in blood. Leora felt it. She knew something was going on. Leora could sense that something was not quite right. Leora felt it in her heart. She was no longer invisible. She was a symbol. People had feelings about symbols. They thought symbols were really important and worshipped them, or they did not like them at all and destroyed them. Symbols were something that people had a lot of emotions about. The symbols were loved or the symbols were hated. She found Valor on the battlements staring into the night. The darkness was around him. Valor was lost in thought, just standing there looking out at the night. The Valor she knew was else. The night air was cool and calm, but Valor did not seem to notice. He just kept staring into the night. The Valor she found was very quiet. The woman said that she never wanted this. She said it in a voice. He said, "I know." She looked at him. Said, "Then why does it feel like everything is pushing me toward you?" she asked him. Everything just seems to be pushing her toward him. The girl felt like something was making her go to him. She thought about this. Said, "Then why does it feel like everything is pushing me toward you?" He did not answer away. The truth really scared him. He was afraid of the truth. The truth was something he did not want to hear, so it frightened him. The truth. The man was already falling, so that is what happened to him. The fact that the man was already falling is the reason for this. The man was already falling. Not with hunger. Not with obsession. But with respect. And that was far more dangerous. When a homeless girl became the queen the world tried to kill. The night of the claiming ritual arrived without mercy. Storm clouds coiled above the fortress like living things, thunder growling low and constant, as if the sky itself was warning them to stop. Torches flared along the battlements, their flames bending unnaturally toward the central courtyard, drawn by the ancient magic awakening beneath the stone. Leora stood at the threshold of the ritual circle, barefoot on cold obsidian, her heart pounding so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. She had never been so visible in her life. Thousands of eyes watched her now. Vampire nobles in ceremonial armor. Elders cloaked in blood-threaded robes. Warriors who had slaughtered armies without hesitation. All of them staring at the same girl who, weeks ago, had slept on frozen pavement with nothing but a thin blanket and a promise to herself that she would survive one more night. She felt small. Not because she was weak, but because she finally understood the weight of what stood before her. "This is your last chance to turn back," Queen Elthera said gently, standing at the edge of the circle. "No one will fault you for choosing safety." Leora looked at the queen, remembering how fragile she had been in the snow, how easily she could have died. "I didn't turn back then," Leora said softly. "I won't now." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Valor stood opposite her, dressed in black ceremonial armor etched with runes older than his reign. He looked every inch the vampire king, powerful, lethal, untouchable. But when he looked at her, the world narrowed. "Once you step forward," he said quietly only for her, "this realm will never let you go." She met his gaze steadily. "It already hasn't." The ritual began. Ancient words filled the air, spoken by the elders in the old tongue. The ground beneath Leora's feet pulsed, warmth spreading upward like a heartbeat. Symbols ignited around her, crimson and gold, spiraling higher and higher. Pain followed. Not sharp. Like something inside her was being pulled awake. Leora cried out as memories that weren't hers flooded her mind. Visions of ancient humans standing beside vampires not as prey, but as equals. Of treaties written in blood and broken by fear. Of a promise made long ago, waiting to be fulfilled. The court watched in stunned silence. She wasn't burning. She wasn't dying. She was enduring. She should be screaming, one elder whispered. No human survives this. Leora dropped to one knee, gasping, hands pressed to the stone. Valor took a step forward instinctively. "Do not interfere," the elders warned. But he didn't stop moving. Because kings could obey laws. Men could not ignore their hearts. Lightning split the sky. The final sigil flared. And then, silence. The magic settled. Leora lifted her head slowly. Her eyes glowed, not red, not gold, but something softer. Something warmer. The circle faded. She was still alive. A heartbeat passed. Then another. "She survived," someone whispered. "No," Queen Elthera corrected, awe in her voice. "She was chosen." The court erupted. Some dropped to their knees. Others backed away in fear. "This is blasphemy. She will end us. She is the blood-bound queen." Chaos surged forward like a wave. A blade flashed from the crowd. Valor moved faster than thought. He placed himself between Leora and the assassin, taking the strike meant for her. Steel screeched against enchanted armor, sparks flying. "Enough!" Valor roared. Power exploded from him, knocking everyone back. He turned to Leora, his hand trembling as he touched her shoulder. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, breathless. You got hurt." "It doesn't matter," he said. But she reached up, placing her palm over the wound. Light bloomed beneath her skin. The injury closed instantly. The crowd gasped. "She heals him." Leora stared at her hand in disbelief. "I didn't know I could do that." Valor looked at her like she was the only thing in existence. "You didn't know you could save the world either," he said quietly. The court fell to its knees. Not because they were ordered to, but because they understood. Power had changed. Not through fear. Through mercy. Later, as dawn broke, Leora stood on the balcony overlooking the realm. "I never wanted a throne," she said softly. Valor stood beside her, no longer looming, no longer distant. "I never wanted to share power," he admitted. "Until I met someone who showed me what strength really is." She looked at him then. Really looked. Not as a king. Not as a savior. But as someone who had learned to kneel in the snow beside a homeless girl and listen. "What happens now?" she asked. He held out his hand. "Now," he said, We rebuild a world that stops mistaking cruelty for strength. She took his hand. Not as a servant. Not as a subject. But as an equal. And somewhere far beyond the fortress walls, the world shifted, quietly, permanently, because kindness had finally been given a crown.